those dynamic aspects. So,
right.
So when you take someone who is sort of on the opposite gender, that's always a fascinating dynamic, I think. So you have, in some sense, I would think, a lot of more assertive kinds of aspects of your personality. And, you know, as I look at you, I definitely see you as primarily as a male.
Mm-hmm.
And, but in blending that gives you a certain kind of understanding, a more comprehensive understanding of people, I think, by being able to get into the heads in a different way of being kind of in both spaces. For people who are interested in reincarnation, if I came to you as a client, and I talked about, you know, I'm curious about past lives and I'm trying to understand why I'm drawn to these particular things. What is that process typically like for you, Laura, for helping people with past lives?
Yeah, so I do, you know, what I call past life readings, and so it's not a regression per se, because I'm not taking the person back, you know, in their own space, mental space, but I'm shown, you know, images from those lives, maybe people that they're currently involved with and other lives that they've shared. So each time is different, but it's always fascinating to me how whatever is shown always has some kind of relation to whatever that person is working on at that, you know, on a soul level, I mean, at that time. So, and there are lots of themes that I see. So, you know, you see one person and then they show me, you know, maybe 4 or 5 different lives where they're working on the same issue of, you know, not giving so much of themselves that they damage themselves. You know, that's the theme. Or not being enslaved, for example. So I love past life readings. It's one of my favorite things to do, just because it's so enlightening and fascinating to see, you know, the different things and people that we've all been. It's something I never get tired of.
I mean, I'm the same way. You know, past lives are such a big part of the way I approach it, because I think that in understanding, I mean, there has to be something, if there is a past life that keeps coming, there has to be something that's being transmitted, right? I personally think that that's an emotional predisposition to a certain way of processing things. There's certain kinds of styles that people have, certain kinds of natural ways of dealing with others that they have. You know, they could be physical characteristics. There could be a lot of things. But you know, it's, to me, it's like the most fascinating piece. I have my own theory, and I'm curious what your take is on this. I'm not convinced that past lives are just one after the other. And I don't mean that they all happen at the same time. I'm not sure I'd buy that. But I believe that people sometimes lead more than one at a time. And that's my opinion. I don't know that. Mm-hmm. But how do you feel about that? Conceptually, when you think about past lives, do you have a theory about how they operate?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have bits and pieces, but I agree with you that you can have concurrent lives happening at the same time. There's a woman I interviewed on my podcast, Dr. Linda Bachman, and she's written several books, but the one I can remember the most recently is Bringing Your Soul to Light. And she talks in that book, she's the person who does the regression work, and she talks about how there's different levels of soul development, and the very advanced souls can actually have multiple incarnations at a time. Something like as you get more advanced, it's like you can learn how to handle it as a soul, and a very advanced soul might even have as many as like 8 or 10 at a time. So yeah, I do believe that it happens, and that's why, you know, when I was first kind of looking at some of this stuff, and I would be confused because I felt like, wow, I think I was, you know, in Hollywood at this time, but then I also felt that I was in France at this kind of similar time, and I thought, well, I don't think that's possible, and now I realize, no, it was possible. I just was different people in both of those times and places that overlapped.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that that's true, and so my ideas, again, you know, as a psychic, we can make predictions, and those predictions are measurable. I say this is going to happen, it does, it doesn't. You can say yes, no, whatever.
Right.
If you talk about someone, you can say, they can go, yeah, that's me, or he's just like that. But when you talk about past lives, there's no way that you know, absolutely. So what you're looking at, there's things that you're looking for. But I do believe that that's how it works. I mean, I believe, and it took me a long time to come to that. I mean, I resisted that. But it just kept coming back to me that that's the way that my experiences, it's the only way that they would make sense to me. And it's the only way that trying to discern what I saw for other people would make sense too. So that's interesting. So how do you feel about that, though, the idea that there might be, 2 or 3 or 8? I mean, what's your opinion of that?
I know it's a very strange concept, but we have to understand that we're so much more than what we are just in this form. That a big part of our soul actually doesn't even incarnate. That it's only a part of our soul that's even in this body here at this time, that we're listening to right now. So it is strange, but the bigger picture is much more strange than that. It's kind of like the more I learn about this world, the more I realize how little we really know. And so I've stopped making any assumptions about anything.
No, that's beautiful. I totally agree. I mean, I love that. I've said that to me, when people die, they don't go anyplace. This totally confuses people. Because I feel that there's like in quantum physics, you look at, maybe protons here and there at the same time. So I feel that there is this, I'm got 1 foot here and 1 foot there. So it's not so much that I've been jet streamed, like if I'm in a bar and, after my wake, 3 days earlier. But I mean, it's not so much that I'm going from here to another place as much as my consciousness shifts.
Right.
And I'm in a vehicle, like before I was on the bus going to Topeka, now I'm on a train going to St. Louis. It's just a different kind of thing, but I had the capacity to be on, either one of them. I had a ticket to both. So I think that reincarnation is the key to it all. I mean, to me, the most interesting, fascinating, and I believe if you could understand reincarnation, which I don't, you would understand everything. I mean, everything. So it's just fascinating to me how much you seem to kind of get it to me. And, being so young. Before, I hope you've had fun. I hope that I'm not like too strange for you. I hope you've had a good time.
No. Oh, Andrew, I love connecting with you. Always a good time. Before we head to break, and our guest in the second hour will be Megan Lane. Laura, one more time, let people know how they can contact you, and let them know once again. This thing in London sounds cool as can be. If I wanted to do that, how would I go about making that happen? All right, so there's details on the events page of my website, which again is www.healingpowers.net. And basically, you go the draft, your sort of outline itinerary is there, and really you just register. I have a PayPal link there. You're responsible for your own accommodations and airfare, but I have a suggested hotel. And then once you sign up, I'll contact you and get you more details about the event itself. But that's really all that's required.
That's fantastic. I have a friend from London who has a most amazing, his name is David Carter. And David Carter is probably, I would say, the most talented interior designer in the world. I believe that that's true. And he has this amazing house that he uses as a guest house called 40 Wings. And my fantasy, because I talked to him about it, is to go there and stay at 40 Wings. And he is a really interesting guy. I'll send you his link.
Wonderful. That'd be amazing.
Carter.com. But David, you would like David Carter, and he would like you. David's he's brilliant. My God, his work is just incredible. But you two would like each other, I bet. And again, healingpowers.net. Our guest,
That's right.
Laura Powers. Thank you so much
Thank you, Andrew. It's been a pleasure.
Fabulous. Thank you. So we're going to take a short break. We will be back in just a few minutes. Our guest in the second hour is Megan Lane. Once again, Laura Powers, thank you so much. HealingPowers.net. Zita, anything you want to ask while we have Laura here?
No, I was just actually fascinated by the conversation, and I think everything that Laura said is spot on. Understanding the abilities that women may have and how they are almost forced to repress any kind of intuitive gifts that they might have just because of their gender. I think she's spot on with that.
And in my last minute here, I'm going to throw this concept out because I think it's an important concept. Because of what Laura and Megan look like, they're going to have a certain amount of funkiness anyway, of people trying to connect with them. And to be open to connecting, I think it adds a lot of complexity that I don't have to deal with. Laura, I mean, does that make sense to you? Do you understand why I would say that?
Oh, absolutely. It's a big challenge for me. In fact, there's a lot of lovely psychics who see clients at home, and I've had so much weirdness with men that I'm just like kind of obsessive, issues, borderline stalking. So I will never list my home address online.
Yeah, I mean, it's those types of things. I don't either. I don't want that. But for a different reason for me. But I would think that adds an extra level of complication for you. I mean, that's my gut instinct.
It does. And I will say a pretty large percentage of my male, clients as a psychic will then ask me out. It happens a lot. So, I've had to learn to have really strong boundaries and just say, like, no, sorry, this has to be purely professional.
Yeah, totally. So, on that note, once again, our guest, Laura Powers, and we will see everybody in just a couple of minutes. Don't go away. You're on Rock and Roll Psychic Radio on the AZ Radio Network. We'll see you in just a minute.
You read the paper. You watch the news. Have you ever considered that you're not getting the whole story? This is Dr. Truth.
And this is Dr. Drake. Tune in to the radio show Earth, Saturday nights, 10 to midnight.
We'll be exposing what the elites are doing all over the world.
We don't want you to believe us. Get a pen out and check us out.
It's the radio show accused of telling the truth. Earth.
The most controversial planet in the solar system. Saturday nights, 10 to midnight, Eastern Time, on the Hazy Radio Network.
So are you looking for a place where rules of this world don't always apply? Join myself, Scott Hare, and Lexi Doyle for Crossing the Void Radio, Wednesday nights, 8 to 11 p.m. Eastern, on the Hazy Radio Network. For more on CTVR, go to our Facebook fan page at www.facebook.com/CrossingTheVoidRadio.
Hi everybody, this is Geddy Lee for RAD. To many of us, drunk driving is something that other people do. Certainly not one of our friends or relatives would do such a thing. When you see someone who's had too much to drink, about to get into a car, urge them to give up the keys and find alternate transportation. Always choose a designated driver. Remember, music lives, you should too.
A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
This is Kristen from the Enlightened Circle. Join us Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern, where we'll feature great guests, enlightening information, and spiritual healing. If you have questions about or for the universe, the Enlightened Circle is where you want to be. Tuesdays at 10, only on the Hazy Radio Network.
It's Karen Frazier. I'm here with my co-host of Paranormal Underground Radio, Rick Hale.
Hi, everyone.
We invite you to join Paranormal Underground Radio on the Hazy Radio Network to explore the unexplained every Thursday night from 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific and other times in the flyover states.
Each week we talk with investigators in the field, researchers, authors, and experts about topics that include paranormal investigation, ufology, cryptozoology, and spirituality.
So please join us each Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern for Paranormal Talk with great guests right here on HazyRadioNetwork.com.
Keep on keeping on.
Hey, it's Rod Black.